Welcome to Getting Business Back on Track, a virtual event experience from the Buyer's Edge platform. Today, we're talking about restaurant technology, and I'm joined by Brandt Squires. He's the co-founder of FoodBAM and a veteran technology expert. I've heard a lot of concern from consumers or restaurant guests about, like, how do we handle the credit card transaction and changing money and things like that. Is there technological solutions for those issues?
No, by the time you and I retire, we might see Bitcoins and digital stuff in restaurants, but I can assure you by the time our kids retire, they are going to see a new form of currency in restaurants. As far as, restaurants reopening today and what that means in terms of currency, from the restaurants I speak to, they are avoiding contact at all cost. And so things like cash, they might not accept. And so again, it comes down to speaking with your guest before they arrive to let them know that they don't take cash. As far as the credit card, before the pandemic hit, POS systems were moving a lot more to the cloud. When you got POS systems in the cloud, you then had little devices that could speak to that POS when you're at tableside. So tableside payments, we are on our smartphones all the time. I mean, my wife looks at the menu way before we ever go out to eat. I personally don't. But I would think that the best menu we all have is already in our pocket. I mean, that's a great way for restaurants to save cost as well, but encouraging them just to break out their smartphone and look at the menu. We've had software like POS systems and payments. There was a precedent going into this, pandemic. So maybe this pandemic, there's a great book called Crossing the Chasm that maybe made them cross that chasm into, like, they have to embrace tableside payments. Credit card networks have been charging, restaurants for not having the most up-to-date credit card software for protection reasons. So there is some good to actually come out of this pandemic thing from a payment perspective. We as consumers are safer if the restaurants embrace the technology that tokenizes and keeps our credit information safe. In Europe, I think it's starting to become not really well embraced to give your credit card to somebody, they walk away with it, and then they come back. We're here in America, I can't wait to give, a waiter or waitress my credit card. But I think we're going to see us tapping the payment a lot more, us providing and doing the payment right on the spot. I'm seeing a lot of ads on Instagram with these magnetic keys and things like that. I don't have one, but I didn't have a face mask either until I saw everyone wearing one. So I'm sure I'm going to have a magnetic key, here pretty soon. But I would think that the power is really back to the consumer to pay, to tip, and tip as you go. I mean, literally getting up, hitting a button to pay, and you're walking down the street as you're leaving the tip. I mean, it's just like my Uber driver. I tip the Uber driver when I book a new one. Now, that's not really that good for the driver because it's probably delayed on tip, and I certainly don't want to delay tips to the hardworking industry staff. But you can see as payments start to go into your pocket and hitting them on your button, that's going to interrupt payment cycles. That could interrupt when restaurants get paid. I'm not sure how it works, but I think restaurants get paid a little bit later sometimes if you use an Amex versus a Visa. So I think we'll see a lot of the credit card networks centralizing and having one payment that goes to the restaurants just to help the restaurants. I think you're going to see a lot more table side. The POS systems that they already have, if they're new, they could just pay for these table side menus. I think we'll see a lot of POS systems. Some of the older ones, but they're owned by big companies. Micros was acquired by Oracle. So I'm sure they can innovate and have attachments to the POS systems that speak to, either your smartphone, near frequency stuff, or they speak to, tableside payments that you have that the waiter or the waitress has. I don't know. I mean, Andy, do you think when you pay, do you think they're going to say, like, here's a glove, put on a glove and pass me your credit card?
I think that sociologically speaking, there's certain, like, rituals that people enjoy. Restaurants are a place of romance, right? And I kind of like those romantic rituals. I like reading paper books. I love to get a paper ticket for a concert, but that doesn't mean it's the most like cost effective way or the most sustainable way to do things. And I think that people, there's a certain romance to having a waiter or a server come and hand you a menu and looking over the menu and talking about it with the person you're dining with, and opening up that little booklet and putting a $20 bill in there for the server. I think that maybe some of that romance is going to have to kind of go by the wayside in exchange for speed, safety, and technology. And while it might seem like a little icky to say, "Oh, I'm going to order ahead of time and I'm going to place my cocktail order on my phone before I get there instead of like chatting with the sommelier or something like that," I mean, there's something that kind of feels a little icky about it. But then when you realize all the benefits that it brings, I think a lot of diners are going to say, okay, this really is a better system. I'm willing to adopt it.
Yeah. You know, I've never seen this, but imagine like a clear box where you put your money in and it like black lights it for 30 seconds before the waiter or waitress grabs it. Maybe there's some way to disinfect it a little bit to keep the staff and everyone safe. I'd also challenge restaurants to take advantage of this unfortunate situation, offering gift cards as payment at time of payment. Waiters and waitresses are great at upsells, right? And so why can't, if the bill's $100, like, hey, actually, if you buy a gift certificate from us, we can, add 10% for your next visit, so you get 110 versus your next visit. That's a rechargeable card that you can continue to add money on. Maybe this whole situation forces restaurants to take their websites to the next level, to having an app, to the next level, to including e-commerce. I don't know if any of these apps integrate very well with PayPal or Venmo or whatnot, but I know it's becoming, it's more common for at dinner for one person to pay and we Venmo each other at the table. So maybe that will become, more common as we get back to restaurants.